let me say this part. It's a problem that the person who always frames any war, any military story is the person who went to the Hudson Institute.
Exactly.
Like, that's the problem. Like, she rarely talks when these stories come. He sets the whole framing, and then she just kind of says yes and here and a couple of times.
And he be warmonger. She just chilling there looking pretty.
Notice, like, she doesn't push back on Sagaar when it comes to foreign policy. She never pushes back. So I don't know if maybe she just doesn't know a lot about foreign policy, or if that's just the whole purpose of this show, is to still like preach imperialism.
Yes.
And war talking points. This is basically independent media that has corporate media talking points. And what they've done is they've created a set that still looks kind of low key and chill enough to be independent, but they'll still tell you on their show that desk only costs $10,000. Like, that's nothing to them. So you see what I mean? They want a look that's just enough professional so that people take them seriously, but also kind of has this grungy kind of look so people realize that they're independent. But I think their goal, because just looking at the people that they've added to the network, I think their goal is to eventually get onto those cable outlets, just like TYT has done, because TYT's on cable. They're also on Roku. I think that that's the goal of Breaking Points. And in order for that to happen, they are not going to allow anti-war and anti-imperialist voices on cable. So that is what they are doing. Krystal don't even try to push back on these talking points.
I think she totally agree with what he's saying, because she's she's been in this game long enough to know about foreign policy, if not know it's wrong. War is wrong and whatnot, but the way that Sagaar is talking, you would think that he had got money from a weapon contractor to spill this shit.
No, he did.
But
he did.
But this is a perfect illustration of how weak the left is. She really thinks she's like, Shirley Chisholm. She thinks she's like Malcolm X, because what makes her left in her mind? Healthcare, $15 minimum wage, unionizing. I'm Malcolm X now. That's her. But when it comes to foreign policy, there's nothing. When that should be the top thing that you be. Yeah, exactly.
And you notice they put John Fetterman too. That's the ideology that they have. They're pushing progressive politics, and they're trying to give it an imperialist flair to them.
Yep.
And that's why she always concedes to Sagaar and allow him to repeat insane neocon talking points. And I have no problem, because I've seen shitlibs criticize him for having a show with a right winger. The thing is, I had no problem with you doing that. But if I had a show with someone like Sagaar, there would be no peace. Hey, what the fuck you just say? Hey, what that stupid? Hey, hold up. It's none of that. You don't have a show with a right winger. You just allow him to spread your propaganda. I choose not to do that because I'm not trying to have a show where I fight with someone for 60 minutes every fucking show. That way would be
she must be. She's confirming that she and through her the left agrees with all of this war stuff. That's. I mean, why else aren't you having an opposite viewpoint that you're pushing? Well, that's problematic. Go ahead.
But CJ, is it necessarily the left per se, or is it liberal viewers? Because if you look at the comments on their foreign policy videos, most of the left people are not agreeing with their talking points. But I think that what they're doing is they're relying on this subscription model. They're not relying on Patreon. I mean, people still have it, but they're not relying on Patreon and YouTube views and YouTube ads to fund them. They're relying on a subscription-based model. And I looked at their subscription options, and they have a number of people that have signed up for that $1,500 subscription option. Ooh. Those are people that have money. People that have money who are supporting them at Breaking Points 9 times out of 10 are okay with those corporate media talking points about war and about imperialism. So you got to appeal to that group. You got to appeal to that group. So she's not going to challenge and push back. Are there any, I'll say this again, are there any anti-war and anti-imperialist voices that are a part of the Breaking Points network? Because I have not seen them yet.
Savvy, they found a black dude. They found a black dude and he's a neocon. What the chances?
The only neocon in the planet that's black, they found him. And they traded him at the same
time. Was George Bush Jr. neocon. What if you randomly pick one random black dude in this country? What are the chances of that? That's what I'm saying.
But let me ask this. Okay. Now they tout themselves as the populist left and the populist right, correct? That being said, if the majority of Americans are anti-war, right? Then why do you have someone who's on the populist right being in favor of going to war, you know, and having this proxy war in Ukraine? That doesn't even gauge with the way that they tout themselves as. If there's supposed to be the populist, then what is the populist position? The populist position would be to not have anything like that. The populist position really would be, why in the hell are we still supporting NATO in the first place?
Right.
And we
she never says anything like that. She never pushes back ever like this. But it speaks to the left, how they believe I'm still left and I have no stance on foreign policy.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to. It's so ridiculous like that. They really think like they're living in the shadows of Malcolm X. I keep saying that. They keep living in the shadows of Malcolm X. But they have but they could be, but they're nuanced when it comes to foreign policy. It's no.
Right. We see that Republicans want $15 an hour. They want health care. None of this shit makes you a leftist. Like, we are only left because we had to fight for our rights. The left was created by the blacks, the browns, the people that lived under the British rule, the people that lived under slavery. Right. We are only left because we had to fight for our damn rights. Now they are making a mockery of what the left actually is and what these people and our ancestors actually built up to this day, and they calling this shit being a leftist and just shaking your head while he's, you know what I'm saying, just spouting some worse shit like, oh yeah, this is good and this is great. No, it's not. No, it's not. No one is good.
If you did the math, if you have 70 people signed up for that $1,500 subscription, that's over $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
and I know they have way more than that. I know they have more than 70 people signed up for it. So yeah. I'm telling you, this is what they're doing. They're relying on that subscription-based model. And like I said, that means their talking points are going to have to be a little bit more mainstream. They were more left, or excuse me, more populist when they were part of Rising than they are now.
Yeah. Because they were more financially independent. Now they got on them.
Now because so that's basically the DSA officials, those people that are paying it. So they have to stay in a particular framework which happens to overlap with regular corporate media. It's the same. So these are people who in their mind they want to project, I'm Malcolm X. That's what they're doing. And I'm watching Breaking Points, but they want to hear the same shit from CNN. But you get what I'm saying? But it makes them feel like, no, I'm part of the radical movement. I'm looking at corporate news on YouTube. That's all you're doing. You're looking at corporate news on YouTube.
And there was a guy.
There's a reason why they don't talk about them getting struck down, or their PayPal getting took away, or Patreon coming after them.
I was gonna say there was a guy. I'll have to find it in my DMs, but he made a video and he was showing all the people that are signed up as for subscriptions to Breaking Points, and he counted them. He went through counting all the number of people, and I forget the total that he came up with. But the thing I think that people need to understand, their names are on there. And these aren't just everyday average Joe Schmoes. Reid Hoffman is on that list. Reid Hoffman was one of the people that created a PAC when Krystal Ball ran for office. A lot of people forget she ran for Congress and she had a super PAC. And there was speculation over what she did with that money. And I see a lot of people interview Krystal Ball and they don't bring that question up that much no more. because she's not answering that question. What happened to that money that she took from that PAC? So these aren't just like everyday Joe Schmo people paying that amount of money, maybe for like the $10 per month. But if you paying, you can just give out $1,500 like that, like it's nothing. These are people that got money.
Let me paint this picture. If let's say all of us are corporate media and we're seeing our numbers, we all represent somebody. You represent CNN, I MSM. We're seeing our numbers go down and we're seeing internet numbers go up. We need to figure out a way where we can co-op independent media. How can we do that? You know what we can do? You're independent, right? As a person, an individual person who works for Comcast, I'm just going to be a member. I'm just going to be a subscriber and pay them $1,500 a month. Yeah. If you get corporate people to do that, you're able to say I'm independent, but you're still being supported by the corporate establishment, by all the people that's in corporate that want to keep this same sort of status quo going. All they're doing is taking it out of the business name and putting in their personal name and making a personal donation a month to these people.
Mm-hmm.
They have to stay in the same confines of that framing it for those people who are paying that money. What working class people is paying $1,500 a month?
Right.
I wish I made that much.
Who? Right. Who's paid? This is the reason why the stories you get, because what do rich people want to hear when they hear about working class people
down there?
They just want to hear about unionizing. Oh, the union, great, good. Another one up here with us. And this working class, not the poor working class. I'll pass it back to the unless we can go back to the video. Let's go back to the video.
Let's go back to the video. One thing I want to say, just to CJ's comment, just real quick. These people like Krystal's fiance, Cal Kalinske, like they will say they will look up to Noam Chomsky, right? And we covered Noam Chomsky's take on Ukraine, and his take is based. Cal Kalinski's take on Ukraine is nothing like Noam Chomsky's. No, Cal Kalinske said the invasion of Ukraine by Russia is like the United States invading Iraq. The dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. Noam Chomsky would slap him in his fucking face if you said that to his face. But that's the guy Cal Kalinske like, yeah, Noam Chomsky, my hero. Like, you guys see how they completely sold out and they don't even realize it, how far away they are from the people they say they look up to. But go ahead, CJ.
It's so anti-intellectual from intellectuals. It's so anti-intellectual from intellectuals. I'll leave you there, but let's move to this, back to this video. And we haven't even got to some of the more stupidest things they've said.
Because they really don't have that long, and that's something that Zelensky himself acknowledged ahead of the fighting season, is that by reclaiming this Kharkiv Oblast, they have retaken and pushed back Russian defense lines away from a potential jump-off point that they could use in order to seize full military control of the entire eastern Donbass and Luhansk region. So everything that I've read so far on this is that it really is a stunning advance in combined arms operations and in maneuver warfare. It reminds actually a lot of people of the 1973 Israeli push in the Yom Kippur War. It also reminds us the tank is still very, very useful in warfare.
Hey, go back. Very interested. Hey, y'all hear that shit? What do you say, bro? See that?
This is the baddest fight, the baddest shit in history.
I promise I'll be short. I want the video play a little bit. But how do Krystal allow him to say that without? Look at the example he used. Look, remember a stunning Israeli offensive in 2003. You mean the fucking ethnic cleansing of Palestinians? They're not a conflict, guys. That is a one-sided genocide. But you see how he frames it? The amazing offensive push by Israel. This is apartheid state. And Krystal's like, the Palestinians, that's none of my business. That shit none of my goddamn business. I don't care.
You got that money.
I got money.